Hello again, everybody. My name is Josh Rhodes. This is the Retro Monster Truck Review, and boy, this is a special edition of it. Today we have an interview that I conducted in 2011 with the icon, Dennis Anderson. First, though, we got to have a little backstory behind this. This interview was conducted, like I said, in 2011. I hadn't heard this in 10 years, believe it or not. I hadn't even heard hide nor hair of this in a very, very long time, and I got a text out of the blue from Robbie Haught, who runs allmonster.com, with another very good friend of mine by the name of Dustin Hart. Robbie, Dustin, and I spent a lot of time on the computer together for years growing up, basically racing each other in Monster Truck Madness 2. After we all graduated from the virtual world of monster truck racing, we ended up going into the real world and would eventually go to work inside the industry in some way, shape, or form, all three of us. And it still brings a smile to my face to know that three kids, basically, who grew up playing around on the internet together, racing virtual monster trucks, could end up working inside the industry in some way. Eventually, a guy would come along by the name of Ed Horman, who did the Beyond the Lens show for All Monster. And he was one of those guys that just happened to live close by, and we ended up going to several shows together as well. Indianapolis comes to mind, Warrenton, Missouri, St. Louis, Missouri, and this is one of the St. Louis shows that I ran into Dennis at. I can remember in 2004 when I went to the St. Louis show that I was standing in the autograph line with my father, who brought me there for my 18th birthday. It was the first show that I had gotten to see, the first big Monster Jam that I had gotten to go to. And Dennis and Tom were the headliners, obviously. And I remember standing in that autograph line and going up to Dennis and being so shy and not able to really say anything to him other than basically, hey, thank you for all of the entertainment that you've provided me. And my dad kind of chuckled, and he said, Mr. Anderson, you don't understand. This boy has been begging to come to this show, and it's his 18th birthday today. And that's when Dennis kind of lit up just a little bit, and we talked for a little bit, and I walked out of the line. It's a memory that I'll never forget. And here I am, all these years later in 2011, and I'm walking behind Dennis Anderson, and I say, excuse me, Mr. Anderson. And Dennis turns around, and I introduced myself. I told him what website I was with, and I got to interview one of my childhood idols right there in the middle of the floor of the Edward Jones Dome. And now, for everybody here on the Retro Monster Truck Review, I will hold you at bay no longer. Here is the audio of that monster profile that I conducted with Dennis Anderson in 2011. I hope you all really enjoy this, and I'll catch you guys after the feature.
I didn't bring mine. All right, first question I got for you. You've been in driving for about 29 years now in monster truck racing. Is there any particular race that just sticks out in your head as your favorite?
Yeah, are we on now?
Yeah, we're on.
Okay, all right, do it again.
We are on. We are on.
All right, do it again.
All right, you've been driving for about 29 years in monster truck racing. Is there any particular race that just sticks out in your head as your favorite that you've ever been in?
I would say my most favorite race to win would be the World Finals. You know, and I won my first racing championship. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm. That was a very good one.
Yeah.
Especially like last year's, because you beat that one with Max D over there on it.
Yeah, that's right.
That was my favorite one. That kind of stuck it to him too, because.
Right. Well, and honestly, that is my most favorite race because it was, you know, there was no glitches. Tom was on his game, I was on my game, and it was a fair and square race, and I tapped him out.
Yeah, you did a good job of it too. You had a good race with John Zimmer out there too. Is there anything you'd like to say about him?
Yeah, John Zimmer, man, I'm telling you, that kid right there, you got to watch him. He's good. He's good in freestyle. I've done some shows with him, and his freestyling is really off the hook, and his racing is awesome. I'm telling you, man, he's John Zimmer, he's naturally a good driver.
Yeah, he is.
He grew up
he's
around
also
it.
a good friend of mine too.
Yeah, well, he grew up around it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He watched it, he craved it, he wanted it, and now he's got it.
Yes, he does. If I can find my place here. This one's kind of like for the true fans of the sport. The top of your truck says you're a four-time champion. Hey, Kevin, what's up? Top of your truck says you're a four-time champion, but a lot of guys don't know that you won a championship in 1999 at this very building is where you wrapped it up. Why doesn't it say 5-time up there instead of 4?
Well, it's because the championship was not, the World Finals was not held here in this building. Yeah. That's what it was. There was a championship that I won for the series, and it's not on there. But there's also a bunch of championships that I won on the West Coast, with a different operation.
Mm-hmm.
I won the West Coast Championship Series several years in a row back in the early '90s, and we don't even talk about that anymore.
No, yeah. Which drivers from the early days of monster trucks do you still wish were racing today?
I would say, let me see, from the early days, I wish that the old John from Buffalo Trimmer, I wish he was around. He was a pretty cool guy. We met, and went to met the family, and it was kind of a family connection.
Johnny K, right? Johnny Wisniewski?
Yeah, Johnny Wisniewski. Yeah.
The name that no one can pronounce.
Yeah, exactly. Some kind of a Polish, New Yorkish name or something. I wish that Andy Brass was still in the business. I wish he was still racing. I kind of wish that Bigfoot was in our game over here because, Bigfoot used to beat up on me when he had all of his money a long time ago, and he's got good equipment, but I really wish they were over here on the Monster Jam series, and I don't think that's going to happen. But let me see, Gene Patterson. He was the style. Every time I see Gene, I think, snake bite, And John Breen, the Breen boys, But, all of us are, we're getting a little older, So, and if these guys have been out of it for 10 years and you're standing on the sideline and you're the age that we're at now, I don't think they'd want to step back in. You know what I mean? I think that they would be fearing that, I am going to break my back or I am going to break my hip or my shoulder or something, So there's and I just can't really. Jackie Willman, Jackie Willman was a good racer, had some, issues on the other side of the fence that wish they would have never happened to him because he was really a good racer. Him and Jack Willman were a good team. Fred Schaefer, Fred Schaefer's up there in age now, but I'd have loved to seen Fred Schaefer coaching a young gun along, and had a team out here. But there's a lot of guys that I run, that I used to run with that I really can't even remember on the spot right now. But I loved every one of them. I'm telling you, man. I don't care if they were beating me or I was beating them. I loved every monster trucker out there because it supported what we were doing.
Besides Tom Meents, who do you think your biggest competition is currently in Monster Jam?
God, man, I'm telling you, it's not even. You can't even push the button and put it on one because there's several people out there. There's, let me see, Damon Bradshaw, right off the hip, he's good. Lindsey Wink, he's good. George Belham with Mohawk Warrior, he's good. We got, the Advanced Auto guys, it's any dog's day with any of them, Loopy's, I think Loopy drives a better race and a better freestyle now that he's in Advanced Auto, and he still had some wild stuff going on with El Toro Loco, but it was ended early. A lot of times, like I do, go out and try to drive too hard and don't run the clock out. But
another thing with Loopy that I noticed is he'd go out and he'd have an okay freestyle, and then after bonus time and everything was over, then the crazy stuff would happen.
Right, exactly, and it's because we do that because we can't. It's hard to keep up and watch the to watch any of the timers or anything around the building or the flashing strobes or whatever our signal is. You have to try to meditate and try to figure that out. Always in their big competitions, I had an egg timer on my dash. So I would start
at for World Finals 5. I think it was. They mentioned that.
I would click that thing on, and so now radio communication is the best. I have my crew back in the pit. They let me know when I'm in my bonus round, and then they let me know when I have 15 seconds left.
Out of the numerous Gravedigger trucks that you've driven over the years, which ones happen to pop out into your head as your most memorable ones that you've had more fun in? Like Digger 7 would probably be one that comes on the mind for me.
Gravedigger number 7 by far probably was the wildest, craziest truck. It wasn't all that great at racing, but it still was no slouch. It was light, and it was pretty fast. But in freestyle, man, that thing was it was a crazy truck to drive. And and if I had to gauge it to anything, it's like, say, gauging it from Gravedigger number 7 to Gravedigger number 12. If you went out freestyling in Gravedigger, you could hit obstacles at 25, 30 miles an hour, and it was going crazy. If you go out with Gravedigger number 12, you have to hit them at 40 or 45 miles an hour to make it look crazy. So
Tony Farrell's kind of finding that out this year.
Right. That thing's like a locomotive.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is there anything from the old days in monster truck racing that you'd like to see come back to this day and age?
Yes, I'm going to tell you right now, man. I'm getting ready. We're planning for my 30th anniversary tour. I wanted to do a Dennis Anderson retro classic 30th anniversary tour on some of the buildings that we go I call it double dipping when we come back more than one time. I would love to bring back something that we've got 1 and 2 generations that haven't seen it. like the multiple engine pulling tractors. I'd like to bring them out, just a little handful of them, just to give them a taste of them. Bring back the mud bog and bring back the old style car crushing. All we need is about 4 leaf spring trucks. Put some cars out on the track, and you build this timeline of story from the time that the show starts until it finishes. And then, you know, at the end of the show for the grand finale, it would be me and my 3 sons and 2 other competitors out there, that we'd come out with 2012 brand new tube chassis trucks, and we just burned the stadium down. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like you walk through the whole thing. You know, we had the tractor pulling, so we would fill acts, you know, for them, you know, halftime acts. And just put a couple cars out there and pop the wheelies and mash the roofs down. Do old school. No, you know what I mean? Just low horsepower, leaf spring trucks.
Alan Pizzo just came out with Predator 1 and was doing that at a few shows. I got to see it in the Pontiac Silverdome earlier this year.
And that's what I'd love to do, man, is pull some of them out. And I really think the fans would enjoy it. And, you know, you have to put it in a fashion so that, you know, it's kind of fast moving, you know, but, you know, there is kids up here that haven't seen those multiple engine tractors, you know, so we want to have, you know, like the old Mission Impossible and Making Bacon and all those guys, you know what I mean, and which I don't even know who's around, but, and throw a little twist of some of the 2-wheel drive blower motor rigs in there, and just have a really quick pull, you know, and then step right into the old school monster trucks, sling a little bit of mud, and then come out with a brand new style of Monster Jam freestyle finish, you know.
That would be awesome to see. Speaking of your 30th anniversary, is there any particular thing that you're going to do to the truck for like the 30th anniversary? Like for me, I would always like to see you come back in the old school stack lettering, Gravedigger scheme, like on Bigger 2, Bigger 7 back then. Is there any like any paint scheme thing going on?
It most definitely is, man. I'm telling you right now, just as we're talking, we were making decisions yesterday, and we've got it whittled down. We had about we had 12 options on the table, and we've got it turned down to the last 2 options right now. And me and Mr. Charlie Mancuso will be making that call on Monday on which design it'll be. And we don't want to put it in the public's eye. We want it to be a surprise. We want them to want to come see it.
You can tell me off camera, right?
Yeah.
In recent years on outdoor tracks, like from Rich Schaefer, we've seen from Monster Truck Challenge and all that, they've come out with some very interesting track designs, like the crossover track they had in Nashville where a truck was jumping over another truck. Is that something you'd like to see brought into the stadiums as well?
Yeah, I would, and we want to have a little mix of different tracks, you know, and basically right now, you know, we want to change the racing up some, but, you know, we're changing our table every time, you know, that we come to it, and we're mainly focusing on the freestyle part of it. We put the freestyle obstacles in, then, you know, you have to work your track around it.
Yeah.
You know, so, and that's what we're doing in today's speed anyway. And I love some of our freestyle tracks we've got going on. And, you know, we're trying things to, you know, always raise the bar, and I don't know how high the bar can go before.
It's pretty high.
Yeah, it's getting high now, but, you know, the innovation of trucks are going to have to turn in the next decade. We're gonna be independent suspension trucks. It's gonna be coming. And I don't think it's gonna be no time soon, but I would say in 10 years we better move out and get on it.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Still helping out with the industry, driving?
I'll put it to you this way. My deal is signed on to Monster Jam till 2017.
Yeah.
So that will be my 35th anniversary. 35th anniversary, I'll make it a choice. I'll make my choice then. As long as I'm not in the greatest shape, but I'm not in poor shape by no means.
I honestly think you're in the best shape of your career right now.
Right.
You've just been winning everything. You just come off a 9-race winning streak.
Right, exactly. And as long as we keep the innovation of safety equipment, and seats and belts and head restraints and all of that stuff rolling our way, and now we just need to work on the suspension, I'll be in the truck for a long, long time.
I kind of hope you are.
Yeah, man.
So we recently just passed, actually yesterday, the 10-year anniversary of Dale Earnhardt's death. What kind of safety innovations from that tragedy have come over to the monster truck side?
The Hans device. The Hans device, absolutely. And a lot of these guys, the younger guys in the Monster Jam series, were already wearing the Hans, and picked up on it immediately after that. And Adam is the one, my oldest son, inspired me to wear it. He came to West Leb to an outdoor show. He goes, Dad, I know you've been driving these trucks a long time. He says, when I drive without that Hans, he says, it kills me every show. Well, I was getting killed every show, and I just thought that was just part of the program, and that's why I liked one-night beatings, and I would be good. And I'd get myself in there with a pretty good neck brace, and I was pretty savvy to the foam, what size to wear in racing, what size to wear in freestyle. But I thought I had it figured out until I wore that Hans. I didn't want the Hans because it was cumbersome, something extra to get in and out of the truck and to get on when it come time for, to roll. And once I tried it, I put it on, and Adam went with me to the show. We put the thing on. I went out in freestyle, and I come back to the pit, and they go, what'd you think about that Hans device? I just said, buddy, y'all's ass is in trouble now.
I've seen a lot of crossover drivers come into Monster Jam lately, like Damon Bradshaw, Dana Creech. Some of those names come to mind. Is there any other drivers out there you think could be good in a monster truck?
Let me see. Oh yeah, there's anybody that anybody that's played dirt bike and throttle rhythm and throttle control, any of those guys could cross over. There's another guy. Let's see. I'm trying to think. He is the God. What is his name? Tanner.
Tanner Faust.
Tanner Faust. That'd be an awesome monster truck driver right there. He's used to wicked little turbocharged or whatever, bad little cars and his slide riding that he does, but I think he would be anybody like that. I rode with him is the reason I'm saying that.
Yeah, I figured you was going to say him. When I was typing that question, I know he's going to say Tanner.
Right, yeah, I rode with him, and that was quite a ride. It was really, really a cool ride. It's probably the best motorsport ride I'd ever been on.
Really? Even better than the NASCAR?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
This is just kind of like a little bit of a word association. You can say anything that comes to your mind about the name that I'm going to read off, but the first one's Tom Meents. Tom
Meents, wild, crazy, on his game when he's on and off when he's off.
Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt, a buddy of mine that I met personally in 1992 at Las Vegas SEMA show. It was a sad day in NASCAR when he went away.
I agree. I was a big fan. Adam Anderson.
My number one son right there. He was the first boy. He was the first boy I put on Earth, and he's awesome in a monster truck. He's awesome with the fans, and people love him, and I love him too.
Ryan Anderson.
Ryan Anderson, wicked and crazy and wild, man. He's an awesome driver. That's boy number 2 when he hit the ground. And I'm really proud of both of them, and I love both of my boys, and I love what they're doing. They follow my footsteps.
I actually raced him last night in that Riggs of Rods game that he's been playing.
Oh, really?
I'm actually this is kind of a funny story, but for online monster truck racing, I'm you. I've been racing for 10 years on the online circuit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He shows it to me all the time,
really?
So I've watched you race.
Yep.
I need to get your autograph out there.
Well, I just became a 21-time champion, so I think I'm doing fairly good there.
Right.
So.
We're going to start hating you if you win that much.
Well, I kicked his butt last night, so.
You son of a gun.
Andy Brass.
Andy Brass. Calm, cool, little squeaky voice. I loved him when he was out here on the track with Bigfoot, man. When you say Andy Brass, I think Bigfoot.
Jim Kramer.
Jim Kramer, same thing. Jim Kramer, when you say Jim Kramer, all I can think of is Jim Kramer hanging out that truck with his arm, with the door pinched underneath of his arm, holding on with his helmet sticking out.
Yeah, same thing I think of.
And that's what I think of in the Bigfoot truck.
Bob Chandler.
Bob Chandler, the innovator of the monster trucks. He was the daddy. He was the guy that I was chasing as a young kid growing up. Bob Chandler is the man that I wanted to beat. He had Ford sponsor on his side. I was the shade tree mechanic, underdog, and I came out in 1986 is when I beat him on national TV, and it was just barely a win, but we took it, you know what I mean? And I just, Bob Chandler, I love that dude for where he started, because that's why I'm here today.
Now keep with the Bigfoot theme here, Dan Runte.
Dan Runte, cool, man. We lived up and down the road together for a while, crazy, loved to party, could drive the wheels off of a monster truck, and good guy.
Mark Hall.
Mark Hall. Good racers, good equipment. Those guys are they're on all the time. I mean, they're the serious racers. Not so much a freestylist, but
they're getting better.
Yes, they are.
They're getting better.
Yeah.
Jimmy Cretin.
Jimmy Cretin, serious man. Guys at the gym working out. I can see him right now pumping some iron right now, looking at himself in the mirror, but a good guy. I love Jimmy. I love busting on him and picking on him, and but man, he's another innovator of our sport. You know, he's not afraid to try something. He's always developing something new, some new axle, some new carrier, some locker, he's always got something going on.
Him and Pablo kind of are the same in that aspect.
Exactly, yes.
I would say next one, Dustin Brown.
Dustin Brown, he's the best crew guy I've ever had. I'm going to tell you that. He's young, and he knows his game, and he's learned a lot with us. Came over from a funny car team, but Dustin Brown is my man. I can tell you that.
Charlie Palkin.
Charlie Palkin, awesome guy. And man, I love Charlie in the Excalibur days. Hard driver, didn't care if he slung the rods out of his motor. And what a great guy to have in a Gravedigger truck. People love him, and he is a smoking awesome driver.
Yeah, I definitely agree there. I saw him in Indy. He had a hell of a run out there. Everett Jasmer.
Everett Jasmer. He's old school, liked the straight line racing, never wanted to do the rear steer, and good guy. He was a innovator of trying to get trucks to go fast, but also was a complainer on the track.
I agree. I've seen a lot of those old TNT Motorsports races where he clearly would miss the jump. I think it was Rod was driving in one of those races. He clearly misses the jump, but oh no, that was a bad call on us.
Right.
Speaking of that, Rod Litzow.
Rod Litzow, good driver, man. That guy, I just wish that he stayed in the game. We didn't have freestyle competitions. We didn't do turning courses and stuff back then, but he was fearless.
That he was. And with that, I thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do that.
All right, man.
That's
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is my interview with Dennis Anderson that I conducted in the year 2011, right before the St. Louis Monster Jam. I again want to thank everybody for all the Apple iTunes reviews. Those 5-star reviews really do help the podcast out. I also want to thank everybody for all the subscriptions onto YouTube, as well as, of course, the follows on Spotify. As always, guys, it means a lot to me that you guys are helping build this podcast and push it out there for as many eyes and ears to see as possible. And since you guys have stuck it out through all of my rambling at the beginning of the show, I figured I'd give you a little something here at the end to look forward to, and that is this week's and next week's episodes of the Retro Monster Truck Review. This week, we're going to have Ryan Lacoste on the show talking about day number 3 inside the Chicago Amphitheater from 1989, TNT Motorsports. It was the first weekend's Points Series event. The first 2 events were won by Dennis Anderson and Gravedigger, but the third event had some interesting twists to it that Ryan and I talk about in great detail here on the Retro Monster Truck Review that I really think that you guys are going to enjoy. Like I said, first points event in 1989, and ends up having a final round, which is something that you guys would see all the way throughout that season. In the following week, we've got a fan favorite within the industry and a good friend of mine by the name of Cody Saucier coming on the show. Cody's going to talk about Memphis 1991. It's a Penda event, and I got to tell you, it's one of the big Penda events from back in the day. I really think this one really put that company on the map as far as I'm concerned, because we had the champions from 3 separate big touring divisions there at that event. We had the champion of the USA Motorsports Series, which was Taurus. We had the champion of the United States Hot Rod Association, Barefoot. We had the champion of TNT, Bigfoot number 8, Andy Brass, Fred Schaefer, Jack Willman Jr. Oh yeah, and don't forget, Gary Porter's also there with Carolina Crusher, and it's the debut of Colt Cobra and Snakebite. So many storylines from that weekend. I really can't wait to share these next 2 episodes of the show with you guys over the next couple of weeks. Until then, though, everybody, I really hope you enjoyed this special edition of the Retro Monster Truck Review, and we will see you all again on the tracks across America.